Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. We are back for a live stream today, so thank you for joining us here on a beautiful Sunday afternoon and the first weekend of Stanley Cup playoff hockey. Let's take a look. There's a couple of you guys joining us, so thank you for joining us here today. What's going on, PJ? One of our members here at the channel, and of course he is the biggest Rangers fan out there, so shout out to PJ. So this game is gone. I hate to be honest with you as an Islander fan. This is kind of how we expected this to go, at least to start. The first period was a good period for both teams. The Capitals were probably a little bit more feeling good about themselves after the first, tied at 0. And the Rangers just went off in the second period. A couple of big goals from different guys, which is probably more concerning for the Caps, is the fact that it isn't just Panarin who scored. It's the depth scoring that is going to be a problem if the Capitals cannot keep the puck out of the net. And considering who scored, looking at it here, it was Matt Rempe and Jimmy Vesey, along with Panarin. And it looks like at the end of the period, there was actually a little bit of a scuffle. You got Rempe in there. You got Goudreau. Who is that for Washington? 57 for Washington. So they had a little bit of a dust-up at the middle of the rink. So the Capitals are definitely a little pissed off. What's going on, Ricky? What's going on, Urban? Yeah, Caps getting swept. They don't look too good right now after that second period, but I'm not ready to say that, Urban, but yeah, that was not a convincing second period, to say the least. And yeah, Barclay Goudreau with 2 assists on the game because his 2 teammates on his line got goals. Like I said, Matt Rempe and Jimmy Vesey. The fourth line scoring, that's concerning if I'm a Capitals fan, because we have not really seen that type of depth scoring from the Caps. And, oh man, it's going to be quite interesting. How's it going, Ricky? I am doing good, and I had my favorite meal possible today, so I'm feeling extra good today. Going to the Canucks game today. Try not to pay 23 Canadian per. Yeah, it's very expensive pricing, especially at Rogers Center. I've heard their prices are absurd there in Vancouver. So what do you guys think of yesterday's games? Because yesterday we had a couple of games. We had 2 games, and yo, we got a super chat from Ange. Thank you for the $1 super chat.
It's my 20th one. It's special.
And it's your 20th super chat, so thank you for that. And again, another member on the channel, so thank you for that. You get a little alert box. So very cool. Very, very, very cool.
How come I'm not on the screen?
You did. Your little jumping dinosaur came up already. I'm really hoping for a Rangers versus Islanders second round series. We'll see. Yesterday was not too convincing for the Islanders because, unfortunately, that's as good as I think the Islanders are capable of playing, and they still lost. Now, it doesn't help when the officiating was not at its best, but at the end of the day, it's just the Islanders cannot score goals. They had two prime opportunities to score. Kyle Palmieri with a chance at the doormouth, could not put it in. And Noah Dobson had a really good chance, could not score. So as much as I want to blame the officiating and kind of the crybaby stuff, the reality is you have to find a way to score goals. And there is a member alert from PJ. He's been a member for 10 months. Thank you, PJ. Goal Line Hockey for Life. Yes, sir. That is right. Thank you for that. So, yeah, so like I said, I mean, the Bruins game was really the game that kind of threw me off yesterday. We kind of expected Carolina to win that type of game, 3-1, empty netter, right? That didn't surprise me. Boston putting a beating on the Leafs in Game 1, a 5-1 victory last night for the Bruins in Boston. Really big win for them, and it's not even that it's just a win, it was the fashion that they won that game. I'm not ready to say it's concerning yet for the Leafs, but damn, that is not a game that I would look back fondly on as a Leafs fan. Very concerning looking at guys like TJ Brody on the back end for the Leafs. That they got to be better. If they want any chance of getting anywhere this year, the Leafs have got to find a way to keep the puck out of the net. Because the Bruins aren't going to give up a ton of goals. They have a really good defense. They have the ability to shut you down and maybe give up 1 or 2 goals. If you're giving up 3 or 4 goals a game, you are not going to win a series against the Boston Bruins. And Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman, it doesn't matter who's in there. Both those guys are gamers. Both those guys can stop the puck. The Leafs need to be better if they want to win this series or have any chance of winning this series. And, Matthews had basically an empty net shot. Couldn't find a way to pot that one in. It was a weird angle, but you got to find a way to score those. That's the difference in the playoffs of teams that do well and the teams that don't do well. Leafs need to trade Marner and use the space for a defenseman. Yeah, I would make that argument, honestly. I agree. I think that the Leafs need to fix that defense. And like I said, I mean, TJ Brody was awful. And he's been bad for a while, so it's not really all that surprising. But you got to find a way to get somebody in there. It seems like this has been a constant issue for the Toronto Maple Leafs, is the inability to find guys that can really get anything done. And this is, even Morgan Riley was a -2 last night. They just need to play better. There's no excuse when you have a team like the Leafs, the expectations are as high as they are. You have to play better. So yeah, going back to the Rangers and Capitals game, looking at the game so far, they're in the second intermission right now, so we will be going back to the game in a minute. So thank you to all of you guys coming in here. We have a pretty good turnout tonight. We had 10 people in here earlier. Leafs have 0 defense outside the obvious in Morgan Riley. Yeah, and Morgan Riley was the worst. In terms of plus minus, he had the lowest. Well, I guess he's on the ice the most, but it's minus. He was a -2 last night against the Bruins. Yeah, so looking at the Ranger game, I got to bring this back a little bit, guys. So the Capitals and the Rangers, right? We're 2 periods in, and like I said, this is kind of similar. This is kind of what we expected to see. We expected the Rangers to come out strong. I'm surprised they didn't score in the first, honestly, but they really were able to find their game in the second period. Looking at the team stats, that's a pretty big stat there, which I'm kind of, again, the Capitals aren't getting blown out of the water in this game. Shots are 15-16. It's one of those things where, honestly, I expected more from the Capitals in the hitting department. The Rangers are heavily out hitting the Capitals 24-14. Penalties are fairly even, face-offs are fairly even, but again, it's the opportunism of the Rangers that the Capitals cannot afford, especially now going into the third period where you really haven't had You've had a couple of penalties, but nothing that's really been hurting you yet. There's been 7 penalties in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if there was at least one more in this game. If it goes to the Rangers and the Rangers get a power play, make this game 4-1 in the first 5 or 10 minutes of this game, this is the type of game that, unfortunately for the Capitals, this is not the type of game they can afford to come back from. You have got to find a way, if you're the Capitals, in the first 5 minutes to get a goal. Make it a 1-goal game, and if you could get something through the final 10 minutes of the game, you got to stay out of the penalty box. That's where the Capitals can still maybe win this game. But if they can't stay out of the box and they can't score an early goal, it is going to be extremely difficult. And the way Shesterkin's been playing recently, he's been getting, the Rangers in general have been playing not their best hockey defensively in the first 2 periods, and then they kind of turn it on like later in the game, right? And that's kind of what we saw in this game, right? A fairly quiet first period, kind of a quiet first half of the second, and then boom, boom, boom. They just start firing off, and then that's kind of it. So the Capitals got to find a way to keep pace with these guys. And easier said than done, but if the Caps want a chance here, that's what they're going to have to do. And for the Rangers, pretty much the exact opposite. At this point, I would say stay out of the penalty box and avoid kind of getting into any scuffles and stuff, but that could actually be an edge for the Rangers, because if the Capitals are kind of starting stuff, the Rangers get a power play, that's in favor of the Rangers. And even on the penalty kill, the Rangers are better on the power play and the penalty kill than pretty much 90% of teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year, including the Capitals. So even in that worst case scenario, it's still an edge for the Rangers to kind of get maybe a little bit aggressive in the third period. I think the Capitals trying to set the tone for the third, trying to throw them off their game, isn't really going to work the way I think the Capitals want it to. And I still think the edge could still go to the Rangers even with that. So we'll see how things go. Like I said, looking at the game earlier today, we didn't mention that yet. A really good game. I wish I was able to actually watch the game, but I unfortunately had stuff going on. So, 3-2 game. If Luis ever jumps in here, one of our members here at Goal Line Hockey, unfortunately for the Lightning, things didn't go the way they planned. A 3-2 loss down in Florida. A really gutsy game, it looked like. A 3-1 lead in the third period for the Panthers. Matthew Tkachuk gets the game-winning goal, as it proves later on that Stamkos, in the final minute of the third period, Tampa kind of made this a nail-biter up until the end, and a 3-2 victory ultimately for the Panthers. That goal late probably is a good thing for Tampa, gives them some confidence going into Game 2, but ultimately the Panthers come out on top, and that's a big Game 1 win for the Sunshine State rivalry down there in Florida. So if there's any questions or comments you guys have based on the playoffs so far, I'm free to answer any of those questions. Another thing I'd like to mention, it is not set in stone yet, but I'm already kind of planning on doing another live stream tomorrow night. I'll give you guys more updates either later today before the end of this stream or tomorrow morning. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, if you don't follow our community tab, make sure to do that, because that is where you're going to get the latest updates on when I'm doing my next live stream. We do polls, kind of hockey community polls, and, who's going to win this game, or who do you think's the most dangerous, and things like that. We have a lot of fun on there, so that is all here on YouTube on the community tab. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And if you'd like to become a member today to help out as well, kind of being like Ange and PJ, you are definitely free to do that as well. So the third period is about to get underway from Madison Square Garden. We have under 2 minutes till puck drop. I don't know what to expect here. I think the end of the second period, I was expecting more from Tom Wilson based off of what I've seen so far. He's been very quiet. I don't know. It's one of those things where if Trevor Van Riemsdyk is at the end of the period kind of going up to the Rangers, that is a little bit concerning, because he's not the guy I would necessarily expect to be doing that. But hey, listen, maybe that sets the tone for the third. Maybe Ovechkin gets going. I don't know, because if I mean that's another key thing here. If the Capitals want to win this game, they're probably going to need Ovechkin to score here in the third, especially being down 2 goals. You probably need a goal from Ovi here. So that's been their hot hand. Ovechkin's a huge reason why the Caps even got into the playoffs. We'll see if he's going to be able to get something done here in the third. There's a quarter of the bracket that shows how garbage the league was this season. Also, why we need seeds 1 through 8 again. Preds, Canucks, Kings, Oilers. That shows how garbage the league was this season. Preds, Canucks, Kings, Oilers. I'm not necessarily sure what you mean by that, Urban. Are you saying those teams aren't like playoff teams? I mean, I think in a sense you can make that argument. I mean, the Oilers they did really well this year. I think they had 49 wins this season. The Canucks, I think, put up a 50-win season. You could make an argument for the Kings and the Predators, but that's kind of how the playoffs are. I don't know. I'm a little bit more torn on that, but I might need more context for that, Urban. I think I understand what you meant, but I'm not totally sure. Especially for the Oilers. I don't know. I'm a little... Even the Canucks, but I'd love to know what you think there, Urban. So puck drop for the third period is about to begin. Let's see what we get here. Honestly, I think this is going to be the type of game. The Caps maybe score a goal in the first 10 minutes, make it 3-2. I could see the Rangers winning this game 4-2 with an empty netter or a late goal to seal it up, make it 4-2. That is my prediction. I want to know your guys' predictions for the third period. What is your final score? I don't know if I'm going to be able to give in my case, we already know the game winner. The game winner would be Jimmy Vesey's goal, which would, if it stays where the Capitals don't tie the game, it would be 4-2 Rangers with Jimmy Vesey, who already scored, getting the game winner. So I'd love to know what you guys think. All right, so puck drop here in New York. Let's see what happens. I think Washington ties the game. All right, PJ, we'll see. Ovi goes off and scores 2 goals. That would be pretty interesting. 4-on-4, which 4 teams you would take over the other 4 all day in the West. Look at the other quarter. Dallas, Vegas, Colorado, Winnipeg. Okay, so I get what you're saying. You're saying the playoff series they're not going to be as competitive. I mean, yeah, those teams are definitely higher up in terms of regard. The only thing I'll disagree with you on that, Urban, I do think the Canucks and the Oilers, I don't know if I'm ready to say they're like legit. Well, I don't know if the Canucks are necessarily legit cup contenders, but I would say the Oilers are. As much as I hate to admit it, I think they could be cup contenders. And they're kind of like the Rangers on the East Coast. I think oh my God, that almost went in. If we see a ton of goals in the Oilers and Rangers series, that's probably going to favor the Rangers and the Oilers. If it's tight 3-1, 2-0 games, that's how the Capitals and the Kings are going to try and win that series. And that would, honestly, as much as I would hate to see a Canadian team win the Cup or potentially the Rangers win the Stanley Cup, that would be you want to talk about everybody being like, oh, this is going to be such a high-scoring Stanley Cup final. Give the Oilers and the Rangers in the Stanley Cup final, and people would either be way too happy or way too pissed off. So that would definitely be pretty interesting, though. Oilers will be cup contenders if their depth shows up. Absolutely, PJ. Absolutely. I agree with you on that one. I think Toronto and MSG could be a better playoff atmosphere. Have the prices not been so astronomically high? Yeah, the prices are really bad apparently for this game, even for the Rangers. I think it's like $4.50 per ticket in the they call it the Bud Light Blue Seats, which is the 400s. $400 a ticket. That's like Stanley Cup Final Game 1 ticket prices. That is absurd. At least conference final. You know what? I'll give you conference final. That's like conference final ticket pricing in the first round. And it's not even like it's the Flyers or the Devils. or Pittsburgh even. Like, I mean, I love the Capitals, but this is the Washington Capitals. It's not even that big of a series. So, I don't know. Oh, that's a trip. Yeah, he definitely dove a little bit. And Trevor Van Riemsdyk goes behind his net, and Trocheck goes off for a trip. But the refs have been horrible. And and listen, this is a New York Islanders fan, so what's hysterical is a lot of Islander fans were upset with the officiating last night, including myself. The fact that I was on Twitter or X this morning, there were Ranger Twitter accounts that were pissed off with some of the officiating. Now, I think the Rangers are also acknowledging the fact they have the common sense that, oh shit, if the Islanders lose, well, now we have to play Carolina in the second round. So I think they're also, as much as it's, the Islanders and Rangers are together, I think it's more so the Rangers saying, damn, if we have to play them next round, I don't really want to deal with that officiating. And this is what Carolina does. I hate it. I think it's terrible. But to be honest, the Islanders are so bad on special teams that teams are going to do this to you. That is what's going to happen. I hate it, but I don't hate the player, hate the game. And unfortunately, I think that's a flaw in the officiating and the way they kind of do their thing. But if they're going to make the calls and they're not going to give embellishments to the Hurricanes, they're going to do it. And if the Capitals get away with a play like that, that's where the officials need to call the embellishment. As much as it's one of those things. Sometimes they'll call the trip and the embellishment, which that doesn't make any sense, because if it's an embellishment, then they also shouldn't call the tripping penalty, right? Because if it's clearly an embellishment, then it shouldn't be a penalty for the trip. But I don't know, I'd love to know what you guys think of that, because that's been really pissing me off here the first 2 days now of the playoffs. Is the officiating has not been its best. But Kev, you should wear your Rangers jersey and hat. That's cute. That's cute, PJ. There is not a big enough super chat for that one. That is, if somebody gets a screen grab of me wearing a Ranger jersey on this channel, it's not going to happen. It is going to be way too expensive. I can't go against my Islanders like that. And Wayne Train, I can't believe all the dust the Rangers have to brush off from sitting in the box. Ouch. We're getting 2 Western Conference Finals on one side, and the other side is trash. Okay, so now I know what you mean, Urban. Yeah, the playoff format is definitely weird, and the Eastern Conference would kind of stay the same. It wouldn't really matter for the East, other than Tampa would probably get a better matchup than playing the top team in the Atlantic. So I guess Tampa should be the most upset in the East because of the format. But in terms of the West, yeah, it's really weird the way things kind of fell. And, I would say the favorable matchup would be playing... Who's the second seed in the Pacific? Is it Edmonton? Right? It's either you play... Because I know Vegas and LA were deciding on the final night of the season who they were going to play. Either it was Edmonton or Dallas. I would rather play Edmonton. And I know I've been saying how good I think the Oilers were earlier. I still would rather play the Oilers than the Dallas Stars right now. I think the Dallas Stars could win the Stanley Cup this year. And that is my prediction. I made that video already. I would not want to play Dallas right now. Especially out of the West. So basically, the Kings won on the final night of the season, and their reward was playing Edmonton. So I guess in their sense, they did what they had to do. But for Vegas, I mean, that actually, yeah, it's the other way. That's a big loss for them, because now they have to play Dallas instead of Edmonton. But Kings lost to the Garbage Wild. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That their second to last game. That's right. I think the NHL should do a play-in tournament like the NBA. So I understand that, and I've heard that argument a lot, but I don't know if that's really what's best for the game, honestly. I got to be honest, I think that the way the current format is, I'm okay with. I would rather, like Urban said earlier, I would rather the 1 through 8 format. I think the 1 through 16, as cool as that would have been perfect during the pandemic. But during this situation, I think 1 through 8, just like it used to be, I would be fine with that. I think the whole wild card thing, unfortunately, we're getting a ton of the same exact matchups every year, and it is kind of boring. I think it's not even that it's a flawed system, it's more so just I'd like to see something different. Even if it's bringing something back from the past and just reusing that system, I'm fine with that. But I'd love to know what you guys think. UBS or MSG, which arena is better in your eyes? Okay. Depends on the circumstance, because in terms of like easiness to get to, in terms of driving, I would still say UBS. Taking the train, it's easier to go to Madison Square Garden. In terms of overall venue, I like how the UBS Arena is a little bit more like you're on top of the players more, you're on top of the rink, and it's a little louder. The Garden is just historic, and you walk around the concourse at the Garden, they've got, like famous singers and moments in Rangers history. They have like Henrik Lundqvist's first NHL win and things like that. And there is a sense of charm in that. It's very hard for me to pick one over the other. I will admit, though, I think food-wise, I think the Garden is better. But in terms of just the overall game day atmosphere, I would definitely recommend either one. And if you've only been to UBS, I would recommend going to the Garden. And if you've only been to the Garden, I would recommend going to UBS. Just no Ranger jerseys, please. We get enough of those. We don't need extra Ranger jerseys if you're a Ranger fan here. But I digress. I would troll Rangers for you, Kev. It is not easy, PJ. The Ranger fans there are not fun. They are not fun at all. They win, they lose, they suck. And I'm sorry, Ranger fans, I love you. But when it's Islanders-Rangers, it is brutal being an Islander fan at the Garden, for the most part. But I guess that's just part of the rivalry. And I guess I'd be more concerned if there wasn't that bad blood if I went there. But we'll see. So I don't know what happened here. Zibanejad's getting a new stick or something like that. I don't really know what he's doing. This is a really big series for the Capitals because there are a lot of young guys on Washington that don't have a ton of playoff experience. Martin Fehervary got his first goal for the Caps in this series or in this game. Sonny Milano's played for a little bit, but he doesn't have a ton of playoff experience. Same thing for Hendrix Lapierre. I believe this is his first playoff game, unless he made it last year. I don't know if he was on the Caps roster last year, but Hendrix Lapierre, Connor McMichael, those are really young players on the Caps. Alexi Protas, I don't know if he's on the lineup tonight, but Protas is another young guy. So the Capitals have a lot of guys they're trying to figure out, are they gamers when it matters the most? And even if the Capitals lose this series, I think it's going to be important to see if some of the younger players can handle the big shining lights. And this is pretty much one of the biggest venues you can do it in the National Hockey League. At Madison Square Garden, President's Trophy winning Rangers. This is where you're going to see if these guys can play, we're going to see it for the Capitals here in this series. And they're going to find out pretty quickly if these guys can sink or swim. Yeah, pictures of moments that happened there. Yeah, that's one of the things I really do like about the Garden is the charm. I mean, what I really miss is, honestly, the more question is, do I like UBS Arena or Nassau Coliseum? And again, it's the similar thing where UBS Arena is the new flashy building, but there's not, they have a bunch of random pictures of people up, and I'm like, who the hell is that? I don't even know who these people are. Meanwhile, for the Coliseum, you have leaks coming out of the 200s and people getting water dropped on them from terrible plumbing in the building. And then, the seats, smell bad. You can imagine people sitting in those seats for, 30, 40, 50, 60 years? Yeah, it got pretty bad there at the end. But the Islanders won 4 Stanley Cups there, right? And that was Fort Never Lose. So, in its own right, it also meant something as an Islander fan. I wish Detroit made it to the playoffs instead of Washington. The only thing I will say, I think it would have been an easier matchup for the Rangers had they played the Red Wings. Now, it also would have set up for an incredible storyline in the event that Patrick Kane has to play the Rangers a year removed from playing for the Rangers last year, right? So that would have been a pretty good matchup. But I think the Red Wings would not have matched up well at all against the Rangers. I think the Rangers could have really that could have been a rough series, in all honesty, for the Red Wings. In that sense, I think it would have been maybe too much for the young Red Wings. The case of too young, too fast, definitely would have been there for the Red Wings, but when the Flames get their new arena, it won't have the same vibe as the Saddle Dome. Yeah, same thing, PJ. You're seeing it right now with whatever they build in Calgary. Yeah, it's pretty similar. It's a very similar vibe. I'm happy to have a new building. We don't have to worry about the team leaving or, this whole sort of thing goes out the window. But you do lose that sense of the nostalgia of whatever was there before. Absolutely. So the Rangers' 10th playoff meeting. Their 6th meeting since 2009, which is the most of any matchup. The Rangers won 5 of those 9 series, and the Rangers won the last 3 series in 7 games. So everyone's saying this perfect, easy, squeaky, easy, clean sweep for the Rangers. It's probably not going to end that way. I know how the Capitals are, and I just don't see them getting swept. They could go to 5 or 6. I definitely don't think a sweep. I would be very surprised. Very, very surprised. And up to this point, the Capitals, the Rangers have definitely been opportunistic, got their goals, but the Capitals held on. This game could easily be 5-0 Rangers right now, but the Capitals kind of just hung in there. Like I said, it's one of those things where the Capitals are outmatched, and they just they're going to have to catch some breaks. They're going to have some good bounces in this series if they want to win. Charlie Lindgren has played well, but it's also like he gives up 3 goals in a quick span in the second, and it's like he played good the rest of the game, but he had 5 or 10 minutes where he gave up those goals that ultimately that could be the difference in this game. And the Rangers have definitely taken it to the Capitals here in the third. I think the Capitals only have 1 shot here in the third period. The Rangers really starting to put their stamp on this one now. Shots are 23-15. So definitely a little bit different than the first 2 periods where, like I said, the Capitals held on. But like I said, now we're starting to see the widening of the gap in this game. And let's see if I could find, I want to see the shot chart by period. I don't think I could find that here, but so just so you guys can see that real quick, just to get an idea of kind of what we're looking at here. And yeah, the Capitals really not hitting that much. I expected them to be more physical. And I don't know, maybe that's going to happen as this game comes to an end. Maybe we'll see some kind of dust up, but the Capitals seem very nonchalant. And the Rangers are just like, all right, fine. Like, if we're not gonna start stuff, right? We're up in this game. We have no reason to start causing problems. We're just gonna finish this game out. I think the Capitals are gonna have to force their will on this game now, but I have a little over 11 minutes left here in the third period. And like I said, my keys to the game here for the Caps, going into the third, if they don't score a goal here in the next minute, that means they have to score 2 goals in 10 minutes. That's not easy to do. And Shesterkin just seems like he's on it right now. He just seems like he's seeing everything. A lot of the shots, they showed it earlier, a lot of the shots that the Capitals have been getting aren't really like good opportunities either. So not only do the Capitals only have 15 shots, but they're not quality shots. And that's credit to the Rangers defense. They need good defense here if they're going to do what they want to do. If they really want to make a run on a deep playoff run, you have to play good defense. That's what these That's what the best teams do. They can score goals, but they also there's very few turnovers and odd man rushes. The Rangers have been pretty steady with that, at least so far today. They did take a penalty earlier in the period, but it was kind of a weak call. But other than that, it's been pretty good. It just doesn't seem like the Capitals are just there. I don't know. Who is that? That's Carlson, John Carlson. I have the Rangers in 5 in my bracket. Yeah, I could see it. I mean, I put 6, I think. I think the Rangers in 6. But even that, I don't know. It's playoff hockey, right? I just think the margin of error between each team is so small that even though we're sitting here saying like the Rangers have 125 points and the Capitals have 90, at the end of the day, none of that matters. Like, this is a new season. On opening night of the playoffs, anything you did during the regular season means nothing. It just matters, the only thing that matters is if you have home ice advantage or not. And even in most scenarios, home ice advantage doesn't even really matter. So the Capitals trying to do something here, but just oh my god. Jeez. Yeah, so the shots by period, we are now over 10 minutes into the third period. 0 shots for the Capitals in the third period. You're not going to win a hockey game not shooting the puck. Especially when you're down by 2. I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, you knew it was going to be a tough matchup for the Caps, but it's bad.
I can't stand
You got to get him out of here for a little bit.
He's staying with you.
No, get him out.
He stinks.
It's bad.
I haven't opened the window. You stink. Let's go.
Can you just shut the window? Now he's going to start sneezing, I bet. Get him out. Get him out. Oh, goddamn. Jeez. All right. So my prediction of the Capitals even scoring does not look so good. This game might end 3-1 at this rate. It just seems like the Capitals have like no life in this game. Wilson doesn't really seem like he's doing anything. I haven't really heard much about Tom Wilson basically all year, but like it just seems like there's just nothing there for the Capitals right now. They don't even seem like all that frustrated. They're just like riding this out. They're like, all right, we got 9 minutes to score 2 goals. I don't know. Maybe someone will score. Ovechkin, Ovi, you want to put one in for us? Make this a 1-goal game? It's like... Yeah, the Caps have Ovi. Yeah. And Ovechkin's been the reason they've even had a chance in the playoffs, right? He's who got them to the playoffs. But I mean, the Caps are getting outclassed right now. And I think this series is going to be as long as Lindgren can handle. The longer Charlie Lindgren can hold out is as long as the Caps can go. Because right now, they look horrible. They really do. Ovechkin wanted the trip there, but... I don't know. You could be mad. I don't know. I don't know if I would have called that. Ovechkin's mad, but he scored 30 goals in half a season. Yeah, pretty much he did. When Ovechkin is on, he's on, and he's unstoppable. But that's going to be the Rangers' goal here. If he can stay quiet, I don't see anybody else on the Capitals even being able to score a goal. And the Capitals got away with a holding. They definitely looked like, I don't know who that was, but he was holding Trocheck's stick. Or Goudreau. He's holding Goudreau's stick. No call. The Capitals can't even get it in the zone. Oh, man. Ooh. The Rangers are just winning the puck battles right now. The Capitals are losing the puck battles. They're not really creating any real opportunities right now. Somebody's stick just shattered. Oh, she had a good chance there. So the Caps with a little push. Oh, Jesus. Rempe almost got 2. McElrath and Rempe. Ooh. That would be a good rematch. Those guys play. I think they fought each other in the American Hockey League. Yeah, McElrath comes right out there looking for Rempe. But Rempe's like, no, I have no reason to. His team's up 3-1, 6 minutes left in the third. He has no reason to fight. Now, I don't know if you guys remember the history of Dylan McElrath. McElrath was, I believe, a 5th or 6th overall pick by the New York Rangers in 2011, I want to say. And things didn't work out for him. He ended up going to Detroit. He played for the Red Wings organization. I think he played in the AHL most of his career. And the last couple of years, he's been the captain of the Hershey Bears in the American Hockey League. Won a Calder Cup last spring with the Bears. And now he's playing against the team that drafted him in the Rangers. And kind of, I guess, an equalizer for Matthew Rempe. But
He's outside.
Of course he is. Yeah, and I mean, Wayne Train, you're right. I mean, he's a goal scorer now. Rempe doesn't need to fight. That's true. Maybe Panarin will drop the gloves with McElrath or something like that. Maybe Zibanejad will drop the gloves. Capitals coming in. That was probably their best opportunity of the period. So let's see what the Capitals got left here. What do they say? The 2-goal lead is the worst lead in hockey, right? Because it gives you that false sense of comfort. It's a 2-goal lead, right? But right now, it just seems like they're winning the puck battles and the boards. If the Rangers are going to win all the puck battles, the Capitals aren't winning this game. I don't know. I think it's too little too late even at this point. With 5 minutes to go. So let's take a look at some of the stats for this game. I mean, like I said, the most concerning thing for the Caps, I wish I could show the period-by-period stats because I believe the Capitals have only had like 3 or 4 shots here in the third, and that was all in the last like 2 minutes. So for the first basically 15 minutes of the third period, the Capitals hadn't recorded a shot in the third period. That's ridiculous. You're down by 2 goals trying to come back in a game, and the Rangers seemingly have all the pressure and momentum, and the Capitals just aren't really showing much of anything right now. So, if I'm not mistaken, I think we have 2 games tonight. So, we have Colorado and Winnipeg. That's game 1. That'll be at 7 o'clock Eastern Time in Winnipeg. And then 10 o'clock Eastern Time, because it's on the West Coast, you've got the Predators heading up to Vancouver for game 1 at Rogers Center. That should be a real good game. We'll see what happens in those 2 games. If I had to predict game 1 for each of those, so Colorado, Winnipeg, I think for game 1 I'm going to go with the Avalanche winning game 1. I think the Jets will ultimately win that series, but I'm going to go with the Avalanche winning game 1 there. And then Nashville, Vancouver, I'm going to go with the Canucks winning that game. I don't know. This is going to be tough. This is why I love the playoffs, because everything is just so unpredictable. I love that. It's just, you never really know what you're going to get. And, I mean, so far, most of these games, it's kind of what we expected so far, but yeah, odd man rushes. The Capitals have had 0 odd man rushes, and the Rangers have had 5. But the reasoning for that, and people might say, why do they have no odd man rushes? Because the Rangers' defense is just going to sit. They're going to sit in their zone and avoid any odd man rushes because they have nothing. They're up by 2 goals. You don't need to score if you're the Rangers. So the defensemen are just going to sit back for the Rangers, let everything develop in front of them. They have no reason to attack. Meanwhile, for the Capitals, they need to some of their defensemen might have to pinch in, which might lead to an odd man rush the other way for the Rangers. But when you have 5 minutes left in the third period, down by 2 goals, the Capitals have to put everything on the line here. They can't afford to sit back and wait anymore. They've got to go out there and kind of force a goal in here. I will say the Capitals have looked better here the last 2 or 3 minutes, but it just seems like it's too little too late. The Rangers just kind of were able to kill enough of the clock here. So we'll see if the Caps are maybe able to put 1 in here. You going to UBS for any Islander games? Yes. Next Saturday, 2 p.m., I will be at UBS Arena for that one. So I will not be watching the Islander game. I might be doing a night live stream that day on Saturday.
You're not watching the Islander game?
What?
You just said you're going and not watching that game.
I know. I'm tired as shit. I don't really know what I'm saying. What I meant is I will be at the game, so I will not be able to live stream the game here with you guys. I will be at that one, and that's Game 3 next Saturday. But depending on how things go, I would like to do a live stream at definitely every other day. and potentially every night, depending on how things go. Especially in the first round, I'd like to do more live streams. And then as the playoffs go along, I mean, eventually we'll get to the Cup final, and it's whenever there's only one game on, right? Because there's only one series going on at that point. So, live stream from the arena. I don't even know how that works.
You get in trouble.
But people do that, I think.
But getting other people in it that don't.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And Kreider. Goal. There you go. I didn't see it at first.
I saw it.
So the Rangers take the 4-1 lead. That's it. So, yeah, I mean, the Rangers played well, but I'm more disappointed. I expected that from the Rangers. The Capitals just didn't show up, especially for the third period. They didn't even, they didn't get any shots on. They didn't really do much. They had a power play, couldn't get a shot on net. They just don't look like they're in it. I'm not ready to say they're going to get swept. It's one game, but a very concerning start to the series at the very least. And that's now 41 career playoff goals for Chris Kreider, which is, I believe, the most in Rangers franchise history. So, there you go. Congrats there to Chris Kreider. Pretty cool. So let's see. Can the Capitals put one in here? My prediction could still stand, right? If it's 4-2, that's what I said in the second intermission. I mean, my analysis of what I've seen here, like I said, it's one game, but the Ranger fans that were saying a sweep feel pretty good right now. That could all change by the end of game 2, but for right now, I think Capitals fans are like, oh shit, we might be up shit's creek here, because this is not. If Ovechkin's not scoring and you have no offensive threat, but I think this is what Capitals fans were worried about. If they weren't going to get enough depth from like Dylan Strome, Milano. And that's where the loss of guys like Kuznetsov and Backstrom this year during the season, that really hurt them, I think, more than people realize. Now, I know Backstrom was just because of injuries. Like, it wasn't something like they traded him away. And Kuznetsov, he scored the other night for the Hurricanes. He scored the first goal of this year's playoffs. They could use a Kuzi right now. Kuznetsov that's flying high, scoring goals in the playoffs, they could really use that right now. But he's no longer there. How was my evening? I hope all your guys' evenings are pretty good, even if you're a Caps fan. I know for the Ranger fans, you don't have to tell me. I already know. You're probably feeling pretty good right now, as you should. Rempe getting a goal in his first playoff game, just... You saw the goal?
No, I did. You want to see it?
Yeah, let me see it. Jeez. Yeah, that's a weird goal. All right. What's going on, Luis? Welcome to the chat. You're feeling pretty good, I'm sure. Well, I'm hoping, Ricky, that this live stream helps you just a little bit. Take your mind off of life for a minute here on a Sunday afternoon. And obviously, we're thinking about you, Ricky. Things will get better. The Capitals with a good chance there, but a good save. Oh, here we go. Here we go. And the Capitals finally decide to wake up with a minute left. Wilson's punching. Who is that? Who's number 4? Is Is that the little defenseman? It is. Oh no, it's Schneider. So Wilson going after Braden Schneider. And the Caps are a little physical and a little this and that. At this point, it doesn't even matter. They're losing the game. Maybe that's why the Capitals are doing it, because they're like, well, we have nothing to lose now. The game's over.
Just trying to hurt him.
Yeah, but see, they're just battling in front of the net. I mean, it's probably frustration too, but they didn't really do anything. They're kind of just shoving. I know. He's got your AirPods. You know that, right? So there goes Wilson. He's off. Bye-bye. And Luis, I witnessed greatness firsthand today at the Amerit Bank Arena. Is that what it's called? I guess so, right? Because last year it was Florida Live. Now it's Amerit Bank. A 10-minute power play. It's probably a glitch. Yeah, it's just too little too late for the Capitals. I mean, they're trying to cause stuff at the end of the game. At this point, it doesn't even matter. I guess it's setting the tone for Game 2. But it doesn't really do anything here. This is what the Capitals should have been doing at the end of the second period and the beginning of the third. Why wait till the final minute of the game to do that? It's too late. And yeah, we're starting to see the Bruins in the chat. I think that's for his Panthers, though, not necessarily the Rangers. All right, so Rempe's out there. So I don't think anything's going to happen here, but it just seems like it's more of a just, he's here. Yeah, I mean, based off who's out there for the Caps, I'm not all that concerned about, like, a fight. Rempe just drilled somebody into the boards. Drinks on me, goal line hockey. Drink up. So they're on their feet at the Garden, as Stan Rosen would say. And this is going to be a win for the Rangers. So the Caps just going behind the net, just bleeding the clock. Big win for the Rangers. I mean, the score, the funny thing with this game is really the Rangers won this game in 10 minutes in the second period. They take a 3-0 lead, and that was it. And the Capitals got a goal, made it 3-1. But ultimately, the Rangers, that was the difference. The Caps didn't even play that bad of a game. The start of the third period really set the tone. They just didn't really fight back in the third. And the Rangers did what they had to do. They didn't need to cause a commotion. They didn't have to cause any problems. I hope the Capitals come out fired up for Game 2 because they looked horrible in the third period. They really did. They had a power play. They had a chance to get on the board, make it 3-2. Make it a game at least. Give yourself a chance in the final 10 minutes. Down 2 goals against the Rangers, down 3-1 with like 0 shots through the first 10 minutes. You're not winning that hockey game. And I don't know. I'm really, not to say, I'm honestly not surprised because we haven't heard much about Tom Wilson. Wilson hasn't really done much over the last couple of weeks. There seems like there's a couple passengers there in Washington, and maybe that means that we're going to see kind of the comeback of that in this Game 2, or maybe it takes Game 3 of McElrath, Wilson, Albe Kubel, some of the bigger boys. Alexei Protas is a big boy. maybe those guys just start mucking it up. I don't know. Or do they look at Rempe and they're like, oh, we're afraid of Rempe, which I don't think is the case. I think Rempe at the end of this game was probably thinking, I'm not taking a penalty now. We're winning the game. The game's over. Maybe we'll see what happens next game. But right now, we've got all the momentum. I don't need to get myself into trouble. And he's a goal scorer now, I guess, right? So I want to know what you guys think. If you watched this game, what are your thoughts? Because like I said, I think overall, I mean, give the Rangers credit for winning the game and doing what they had to do, but I'm really more so concerned about what the Capitals didn't do. So I'd love to know what you guys think. And one of our members here at Goal Line Hockey, Toe, he wasn't even in the chat today, but he's a big Caps fan. I'm sure he's not too thrilled right now. I wanted to give a quick shout out to him. Vinny, who's a Ranger fan, he was on a couple of our streams the other day. Big Ranger fan, so shout out to him. Angela, shout out to you, Ranger fan here on the channel.
That's what I get. That's amazing.
So looking at the final stats for this game, shots 31-21 in favor of the Rangers. Hits 31-20. Again, in favor of the Rangers. Penalty minutes, that was a lot closer. It was 26-12 in the final, but there were a couple BS penalties at the end of the game. So it really wasn't that big of a gap. But really the one, if I'm a Caps fan, this is the one that I'm looking at. The shots in the third period. It's just not enough. I wish I could turn off the Rangers. Yeah. This is all the shots that the Capitals had in the third period. Alexei Protas in the slot. John Carlson in the slot. 2 from Protas and 1 from John Carlson. Are you kidding me? You had 3 shots in the slot in the entire third period. That's disgusting. Alexei Protas had the most opportunities of any Capital. Protas in Ovechkin's kitchen had 2 shots, 1 on each side. Protas had 2 shots in front. You guys tell me, you look at that. If I'm a Caps fan, I'm concerned as hell right now watching that. And like I said, give credit to the Rangers because a lot of those shots, really not much of an opportunity. Really not much opportunity there for the Capitals to tie the game. But man, that's not good enough for the Capitals. And I hope beyond all hope, if I'm a Capitals fan here, Coach better be showing those guys a lot tonight. He better be throwing the water bottle around and giving it to them. Because that is not good enough by any means. Spencer Carberry is going to have to wake those guys up and get them motivated for Game 2. Because they won't lose this series in Game 1 or 2. If they lose Game 3, that's where they're going to lose this series. I'm expecting them to lose Game 2. But if you cannot play hockey in the third period, down 2 goals like that, and they had a power play in there. So, shout out to the Rangers. They did what they had to do. Why didn't the Caps show up? Didn't see any shots there from Ovechkin. That's also very concerning. And like I said, Protas with 4 shots. 2 in the slot, 1 on each dot in the third. Unacceptable, man. Do I think this is going to carry over into Game 2? I think a little bit for the Capitals. I think they were disrespected today. They got embarrassed. And for the Rangers, I'm just saying, keep playing our game. They fell right into our lap. We got the lead we needed. It took a little while. Give the Caps respect there. It took them till halfway through the second. But then the Rangers did what they do. The second period, they got their feet under them. They didn't give up any goals in the first. They made very few mistakes. And once they got going in the second, they just kind of ran away with it from there. And they were able to hold hold the lead in the third, which is good. A 2-goal lead in the Stanley Cup playoffs going into the third is not easy. Even if it's the President's Trophy team against the second wild card, you still gotta. There's a reason teams make the playoffs. You gotta hold the lead. They were able to do that. And let's look. So those are the shots for the Capitals. Let's look at the Capital shots here. So these are the opportunities the Caps had, okay? Now let's go to the Rangers board here. So let's see any shots they had. So third period shots. For the Rangers, you could see. And somehow Zibanejad got a shot there. All these were opportunities for the Rangers. What happened to the Capitals here? Where did the Capitals even factor? Crazy. And you can see the Rangers' goals really weren't even in the best opportunities. I mean, you look at the goals they scored, right? Let me pull the Capitals out of here. So, you got one right in front of the net. Two from the high slot. Really not great. And then I assume they buried one in here somewhere. But I guess there's a goal there. So, Charlie Lindgren didn't play his best, giving up goals from that far out. But yeah, that's true. Lindgren didn't give up a goal to his brother. That's true. But overall, I'm not sure. Washington can play physical if they will slow down the fast Rangers. And Wayne Train and that's going to be the way they win this series. That's how it's always been. They just didn't want to show up. So a tough start there for the Caps. So I won't be live streaming the rest of today. I'll be back live streaming again tomorrow night. Hopefully we'll get a more entertaining game because this was kind of a no-show for the Caps. I think most of those guys were already on the bus before the third period started, and that's pretty embarrassing. But like I said, I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know if it's going to take somebody having a cheap shot on the Capitals or getting to Shesterkin. I don't know what they're going to do. But at this point, I mean, you don't want to say it's desperation mode, but you have to do something, right? Because the game was dictated mostly by what the Rangers wanted to do. Bless you. And just to give perspective, let's look at Ovechkin. Ovechkin's opportunities. The Rangers did a pretty good job of shutting down Ovi. Ovechkin, pretty much, 2 shots from up here? I mean, that's really not all that impressive. Here, I'll show you. Ovechkin had 2 shots in this game. 1, 2. And he shot wide. So he didn't even hit the net. It's a slap shot high and wide left. Wide right. So Ovechkin did not record a shot in this game. And he had a couple of hits, right? Because that's what Ovechkin does. Yikes. Whew. And I think something that the Capitals are going to have to also do better with is just they got to set the tone. They have to score a goal early or just kind of they have to find a way. Like I said, you got to lay the body a little bit. You got to get in the Rangers' way because they were just skating circles around you. So if you guys have not already and you like this content, you want to see more live streams like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow morning, I'll be giving you guys which game will be live streaming. So if you're not already subscribed, you want to check out the community tab. That is where you're going to find out when I will be live streaming tomorrow night and tomorrow night's game. We also do polls every day. We'll do who's winning this game. Sometimes I'll even give you guys the option of which game we're going to watch. I already know which we're going to watch tomorrow. I have the first couple games already scheduled. But yeah, I'll give you guys all those updates tomorrow morning if you want to watch us tomorrow night. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching the stream. Listen, I know everybody's time is very valuable, so if you're taking the time out of your weekend, out of your day, come here and watch this channel and watch us. The channel has been doing so well the last 2 weeks. You guys are the best. And as much as I have to go out and make the videos and post the videos for you guys definitely deserve a round of applause as well. The engagement, the amount of conversations you guys are creating on the channel and everything else. You guys are the best. You really are. And I do mean that. A lot of you guys have been around for a long time. You guys have been really since the beginning, some of you even, and it does mean the world to me, more than you guys probably know. But so that's going to do it for today, guys.